Towns apart. I thought of locusts the other day, and not after seeing anything to do with nature, or insects, or what might usually lead to that thought. It was a picture of somewhere in England, a town centre, and was just your average run-down one, with boarded up shops, graffiti, torn and tatty frontages, and not what you would call a vibrant and busy atmosphere. I know we do still have some really nice towns, and areas that they do maintain to look pretty and inviting, with that traditional English feel. Quite a contrast in itself, and one people have noticed, and to be honest, was always there. When you think of the differences in what we call the posh bit of London, compared to the run-down deprived areas, it really is the same shit, different century. Because other than a distant lack of top hats and slightly cleaner and better dressed orphans, nothing seems to have changed from how the Victorian era was portrayed and functioned. Social status playing a rather hefty role in how that setup came to be. And after seeing the picture of the run-down town, I then thought of what fields look like after they have been stripped by a swarm of locusts, a speedy version of what has happened in society, with a much slower reduction of resources, so it didn't seem the same, but ended up with the same result. A barren and destroyed area that becomes unfavourable for a thriving system, so things that can vacate do. It's always shocked me how we let things rot right before our eyes, getting used to seeing the decay and letting it become familiar. Well, not all of us. But the ones who do want to do something about it either get ignored, hampered, or worn down by the sheer volume of the task, becoming overwhelmed by what needs to be done, as they are meant to. And the ones who are there to do something about it, they just like to talk about it, and take lots of money for it, while you see with your own eyes nothing improves in a normal way. It's convoluted, corrupted, and all about keeping people in a position of subservience for it to continue, because it's a very intricate gravy train that many aren't ready to see the end of. And in this instance, I guess, maybe ants are a better comparison. Already mentioned in It's a Bug's Life being an ant, but probably more like discussed in Not Quite in Control, where there is something else that has infiltrated the mindset of the workers, where all normal instinct has been overtaken by a parasite, and they just go through the motions of life to facilitate the survival of the invading species. In this case, it seems obvious how the slow decline happened. Corporations slowly took over, making the word monopoly taboo while stealthily implementing it, quietly buying property and assets, taking over business names behind the scenes, so after a time you didn't know who really owned the business you thought was local. Franchises popped up for lots of things, giving that corporate owner a cut of every sale, like the mafia collecting their cut to keep you safe. And as I have previously delved into how we came to be at this point through various articles, I guess this would all be just the modern instalment to a working strategy, where they set up the rules of society to then force the behaviours and actions that seem to naturally follow. And we as people really are quite predictable to a point, with many tests and experiments being done to help with that desired outcome. A few relevant articles around that would probably be The Beautiful Mice, An Experiment but a Big One, and Institutionalised, although many tie in here. As it does appear we didn't get here by accident, and I sometimes think that it is necessary for people to accept that bit, and then move on to the bit where things are actually fixed, because we do seem to be on a clock, and there really is an awful lot to get done.